best in Sooner football recruiting news? Then it's time to get locked in with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. You lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Whether you're a recruiting doomer or sunshine pumper, text the guys on the First Liberty Bank text line at 405-651-3439. And call your shot on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line at 405-329-9000.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Oh, we are so back.
What's going on with you, man? How we doing? Thune? Parker? All right, cool. What up, everybody? It's Locked In. I guess it's Locked In sans Parker Thune. I'm Grayson Singleton. Show today brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Family-friendly service, low-pressure sales environment that can easily guide you through every phase of the buying process. And, of course, we're only a couple days out from the weekend, so head on out there for your half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So make sure you tap in with our friends at Dorsey Jones GMC. Again, out there in El Reno, so appreciate their sponsorship with Locked In. Parker, are you back or no?
Can you hear me now?
I got you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's going on up there in Nebraska?
What all did you hear?
I heard we are so back, and then you left me on the wildest tease that I've ever been held on in radio in my entire life.
So I said we are so back, and then I was just gone.
We were so back, and then you weren't back.
Oh, my goodness. How ironic is that? Absolute brutality. Nothing changed on my end. I have no idea what went wrong.
Yeah, nothing changed on my end either. You were still connected and everything. War Sooner says, not back.
Good grief. Oh, man. Apparently we are not so back here on this Thursday. But it is Easter week. Eager and ready to talk some recruiting with all of y'all over the course of the next hour or so. Grayson, you got to catch me up, man. The show I missed yesterday, the show I was on the road for, was, of course, the Micah Rhodess decommitment show. How did folks take that on the First Liberty Bank text line?
A lot of different ways. We covered a lot of ground, and I'm glad with the show that we did yesterday because we covered the ground of somebody's position coach decommitting and how intimate that relationship can be when you want to play for a specific position coach. We covered what the fan base feels like as to should Oklahoma keep taking commits from guys cycles out like they did with Zane Rowe or a Micah Rhodess. And then we also covered the whole thing of whether or not kids these days are soft, because of course we do. And then we read the quotes that Micah Rhodess gave to our friends at Sooner Scoop. So
oh boy,
we did it. That's how we ended the show because that's when I found the quotes. But yeah, that was pretty explosive to end the show, nonetheless.
Yeah, so that whole situation is not ideal between Oklahoma and the guy that was their lone commit in the 2028 cycle. Where Oklahoma goes from here with Micah Rhodess, I'm not really sure, man. Obviously, he's a 2028 kid, so you're going to have to play the long game. Maybe I would say it's probably just best, based on how that visit apparently went on Monday, if you just kind of let things cool for a few months and ramp back up during the season. Let Dylan McCullough put in some legwork in the meantime before you get that kid back up to campus. Or who knows? Maybe from Rhodes's end, the visit on Monday was bad enough that he just has no interest in rekindling with Oklahoma in the immediate future. And you just kind of, you got to put this whole thing on the back burner for the better part of a year. And you know what? Sometimes that happens, and sometimes it still works out. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm sure many will remember the recruitment of Danny Okoye. Visited Oklahoma early in the process, wasn't feeling it, wasn't about it. Miguel Chavis stayed the course, and at a certain point, those two parties went their separate ways entirely. Chavis and Okoye himself told this story on the ref. But Chavis at one point told him, hey, look, it's clear that you're just not really into us the way that we're into you. So I'm going to let you have your space. I'll take a step back, and we'll call it here. And you know what? If at any point something spurs your interest in Oklahoma again and you want to re-engage, you want to revisit this whole dynamic here, then we're more than happy to do that. But we're going to put it on you. We're going to put it on you to put the ball in your court, I suppose, to reach back out to us and begin the process of rebuilding the bridge. And so it was months before Danny Okoye did so, but ultimately he did, came back to Oklahoma, loved it the second time around, wound up taking an official visit, and wound up committing to the Sooners. And so just because things aren't great relationally between Micah Rhodess and Oklahoma doesn't mean, A, that they're going to stay there. Doesn't mean that's always going to be the case. Doesn't mean there can't be a reconciliation there. Doesn't mean the whole vibe between the two parties can't and won't shift in the months ahead. But also, Grayson, as I think we've come to understand, especially since the front office got to town, Oklahoma is operating like the type of program that doesn't act like they need anybody, i.e., they could go their separate ways with Micah Rhodess permanently and probably be just fine in 28 at the running back position.
Especially the volume of talent at that position. And now, Micah Rhodess is, at least as we forecast right now, one of the premier prospects in the 2028 class overall, regardless of position. But, I mean, it is running back. We do have to recognize that, and Josh pointed this out yesterday, is that at the running back position, you can lose out on a guy, even if it's a top guy, and still potentially be okay, because there's such a dearth of talent at the skill position players. So, no, Oklahoma's going to be okay. Now, losing Micah Rhodess is, a big deal because he's a great guy. He's a great player. But they can still be okay because this is running back and not a premier defensive tackle or quarterback.
And you know what? Honestly, if we're just looking at this from a purely business standpoint from Oklahoma's side, this kind of works out nicely for Deland McCullough. I'm not saying he wanted to chase Micah Rhodess off, nor obviously did he or anybody else at Oklahoma do that intentionally, but it allows you to start back from square one in the 2028 class, and it allows McCullough and the front office brain trust to just kind of reevaluate where everything sits at that position for them, both numbers-wise and in terms of who they like, who they want to put a red eye on. We've never spoken to Deland McCullough other than the one interview that we were able to have with him on local media day a few weeks back before spring practice got started. I don't know what Deland McCullough thinks of Micah Rhodess. What I do know is that now he is not beholden to any particular running back in the 2028 class, and he can start building and cultivating relationships with a completely clean slate. And so it's not a good thing when you lose the number 2 running back in the 2028 cycle, but I think when you acknowledge that seemed pretty inevitable, even if not imminent, certainly inevitable that Micah Rhodess was going to decommit, I think there's a silver lining in the sense that you just got it over with, Grayson. He just got it over with. Oklahoma got it over with. And now Micah Rhodess can start back from square one, and Oklahoma can start back from square one. If they find their way back to each other, great, but there's no longer any lingering, I guess the word would be obligations on either Rhodess' side or on McCullough's side to keep that relationship up.
No, exactly. And there was a texter that pointed this out yesterday, that at least this thing didn't drag on as long as the Kevin Sperry saga did. So,
oh my goodness.
Exactly. So you're talking about a situation where each has enough time to start back at square one, and nobody feels like they're being rushed or pressed for time. So ultimately, this ends up being an okay thing for both sides. And again, if they find their way back to each other, cool. I mean, based on those pretty scathing quotes from Micah Rhodess, I don't know how feasible that is. Not gonna lie to you, Park.
Oh man, things are never too far gone in the recruiting realm. I'll say that. But obviously, with some of the things he's said about Texas in recent weeks, the fact that he's visited there twice now in the month of March, it's probably going to be another school that immediately comes into focus as the front runner for Micah Rhodess, whether that's Texas or Georgia or whoever. Oklahoma will have some work to do if they ever want to get back into those sweepstakes on a serious basis. Completely off-topic text of the day from Bob from Cement. I have a no soliciting sign on the trailer here in Cement. We've had a Mormon group and Jehovah's Witnesses knock on our door inviting us to Easter services. I told them I like chicks with makeup and who drink caffeine. They scattered like flies. Bob?
Holy crap.
Bob, you got a way with words, my friend.
Oh, my Lord.
If nothing else, you got a way with words. Papa Boganowski says, happy 402 day, Parker. Hey, look at that. I'm in the 402 on 402 day. He also said Grayson lectured us for 40 minutes yesterday.
I don't know if he's being facetious with saying that, but I actually did listen back to the show right after we got off the air. I think lecture would be a little bit hyperbolic there. Again, I don't know if he's being facetious or not. We did have a texter come in that said I should never host a show ever again on these airwaves.
Holy cow. Well, there's always that one guy.
Yeah. There was somebody that did say that.
Was it just a rando, or was it somebody who's like a well-known texter?
It was somebody, that was his second text ever sent into the station.
Oh, okay. Got you. So exactly. Yes, exactly the type of person it usually is.
Yeah. Remember the one from Mississippi? Remember the texter from Mississippi that said we both should be fired a couple of months ago?
I don't recall that, but I'm sure that happened. Basically, every single person at this station has that one texter that just, they only text once in a blue moon. But when they do text once in a blue moon, it's about how much they hate this particular host. Like Plank has that guy, Steely has that guy, Ted has that guy, I have that guy. There's always one. There's always one that wants to run you clean out of the building. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line if you want to interact intelligently with us over the course of the show and not demand our dismissal. But, Micah Rhodess off the board for Oklahoma, no longer a member of the 2028 class, and Oklahoma is back to 0 commits in that cycle, which is fine. The primary focus is 2027, and they're doing very well in the 2027 cycle. Grayson, the recent addition of Isaac Cochran gives the Sooners 20 verbal commits. They have the number 1 class in the nation. That gap's going to start to close. It will. Texas A&M's caught fire on the trail recently. USC has it rolling a little bit. It's not going to be Oklahoma and everybody else all throughout the summer, but the Sooners have that early lead, and now it's about maintaining. And, man, I think there are a couple implications here that we should dig into in greater detail with regard to the Cochran recruitment and Oklahoma's victory in that particular recruitment. And I think the big knee-jerk takeaway is, man, this probably creates a little bit more pressure on Gus Corsair to just go ahead and jump on board. Because I don't think it's a secret, nor has it been, that Oklahoma is the leader for Corsair, the 4-star offensive lineman out of the state of Kansas, top player in the Sunflower State for the 2027 cycle. But he continues to just kind of kick the can down the road, take other visits. He's very candidly admitted on multiple occasions that Oklahoma is on top for him. But now that the Sooners have 5 commits on board, you'd think that there would be a little bit more urgency from his camp to lock down a spot because, man, Oklahoma has worked fast with some of these offensive linemen. I mean, think about how quickly they flipped Cooper Hackett. He was committed to Texas Tech for about 3.5 weeks. They worked fast with Caden Penny. It's a national top 50 player that was committed by the second month of his junior season. Luke Wilson, that recruitment offer to commitment took less than 2 months. Tyson Ross, that recruitment offer to commitment took less than 2 months. Isaac Cochran picked up his Oklahoma offer on February 17th, visited for the first time on March 7th, and was committed by March 31st. So, at a certain point, you'd have to think that if Oklahoma still gets a non-answer from Corsair as to whether he's going to be a Sooner or not, they'll at the very least begin to explore some other options, and if at any point they do extend an offer to somebody else to fill that spot in the class, man, I think what this staff has demonstrated is that they can work very quickly to lock that guy down.
Let me ask you this two-part question to you, Park. Number one, what do you think's taking Corsair so long? And number two, at what point do the Sooners give him that, hey, look, brother, are you gonna hop in or not? And if not, then we're gonna start looking elsewhere. Where do you think that point comes?
So here's what I can tell you. They love Corsair and feel strongly that they're going to get him, and they don't mind waiting right now. If official visit season rolls around, or draws near, I should say, and official visit season starts a little bit earlier this year. They're going to be doing official visits in May. It's the first time I can recall Oklahoma's ever hosted official visitors in May. So if we're still having this conversation a month from now and there are other OVs on the calendar for Gus Corsair, then I think the conversation shifts. Because right now, and this is a notable detail, Corsair only has one official visit scheduled concretely on the calendar, and that is the Oklahoma OV. So if at any point that changes, then I think that's probably when Oklahoma starts knocking on the door for some other options to fill the spot at center in their class. But they're willing to be patient for now. They're willing to wait it out with Corsair. There's a lot of confidence that he's going to wind up in the class. And then, sorry, what was the other part of your question there? I spaced.
Oh, what's taking him so long?
Yeah, okay, that is what it was, yes. And I think the reason it's taking him so long is because he's from Hays, Kansas, which is about as far as you can get in really any portion of the United States, save for like the Pacific Northwest, Montana, the Dakotas, I guess, the Upper Plains region. It's about as far as you can get on this half of the United States from any P4 school. And so he's just kind of out there geographically isolated. He hasn't seen a lot. He's been to Kansas State. He's been to Nebraska. He's been to OU, obviously, several times. Been to KU. I think he's been to Missouri. But I think for Corsair, it's just about making the most of the process and making sure that he gets eyes on some of these schools and some of these regions that he's never seen before, and making sure that he can be 100% confident in the decision. I think right now, matter of fact, I know right now, if he were to commit today, if anybody were to tell him you had to commit today, he'd commit to Oklahoma.
Well, there's some good news, as Parker just blips again. If they told him that he was going to commit, he had to commit today, he would commit today. And that's good news. And I will say this, and we got to get a break here in a second, so we'll work to get Parker back on to begin next segment. But kid from Hays, Kansas, how many times do we talk about this, where it's a kid in the middle of nowhere trying to make the most of his process, going to a bunch of different schools. Oklahoma still occupies the pole seat right now for him. And that's all the solitude, I think, that we should need. Because, again, if he was made to commit today, he would commit today. And Gus Corsair would be expected into the Oklahoma class of 2027. 405-651-3439 on the First Liberty Bank text line. He's Parker Thune, somewhere in the ether. I'm Grayson Singleton. Locked In continues after this.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
After a car crash, life can be hard. You're hurt, stressed, and then, when you need help the most, the insurance company doesn't care.
They drag their feet, question your injuries, and make things difficult. They put profits over people.
At McIntyre Law, we level the playing field. We take on the billion-dollar insurance companies so you can focus on what matters, getting your life back. Call us at 405-777-7000. You deserve better.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it expanding your balance. Spend it expanding your mind. Spend it wondering what comes next. Spend it trusting that God has a plan. Spend it taking small steps in your own life. Spend it making a big impact on someone else's. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
Come on down to River Bottom Nursery at one of their 2 locations in OKC. Now under new ownership, River Bottom serves both the commercial industry as well as the gardener and homeowner at both their plant and tree nursery locations. River Bottom Nursery has everything you need to make your yard paradise. Call them today, 405-735-3636, or swing by one of their 2 locations. RiverbottomNursery.com, Oklahoma City's premier tree and plant nursery. At Norman Hyundai, we're excited to welcome you to our brand new state-of-the-art facility on the Mile of Cars in Norman. Bigger, brighter, and built with your comfort in mind, it's designed to make every visit easy. Whether you're shopping for a new Hyundai or stopping in for service, browse our full inventory, value your trade, or schedule your next appointment anytime at normanhyundai.com. Then come see us in person and experience the difference for yourself. Norman Hyundai, serving you and nothing else.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
Your child is sick. With those 4 words, the innocence and joy of childhood disappears. But Starlight has taught us 4 other words that make all the difference. The power of play. Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
Are you, your family, or company looking for a locally owned and trusted management group? Carlsbad Management Group is an owner, developer, and manager of high-quality apartment communities in Oklahoma. They are a locally owned and operated management company for apartments and self-storage units. They are committed to providing exceptional apartment homes, customer service, and increasing the value of multi-family communities under our management. If you would like a free management quote today, call Carlsbad Management at 405-701-1411 and be part of the Carlsbad family.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Locked In rolls on here on the Ref. Oklahoma Sooner fans, Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton. Apparently my connection dropped at the end of last segment. I'm not sure why that is. The demons of technology have captured us on this Thursday. And we are at their mercy because I'm in the guest bedroom of my parents' home in Omaha, Nebraska. There's no reason I should be struggling with connectivity, but apparently I am. So, we hope that doesn't happen the remainder of the show. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. If you want to hit us up. Got any questions, comments, concerns? But, Grayson, we talked about the O-line picture in the 2027 class. Now that Isaac Cochran is committed, 5 on board for Oklahoma between Cochran, Tyson Ross, Luke Wilson, Cooper Hackett, and Caden Penny. I'll tell you, though, and I kind of insinuated this on our show a couple of days ago, I don't think Oklahoma is done even if they do get Gus Corsair. And I would remind everybody that there is another offensive lineman that is uncommitted in the 2027 class that has an official visit booked to Oklahoma and whom we have talked about on this show in detail. Do you recall who that is, Grayson?
Does Brian Swanson have... Excuse me.
Bingo.
Oh, there we go.
That's who it is. And obviously, like as I said before, I think he's Texas's to lose. I think that's a battle that Texas leads right now. But he's going to OV to Oklahoma. It doesn't sound as though that visit is going to come off the schedule. Sounds like Oklahoma's going to get their shot. And there's a surprising amount of confidence from the Oklahoma side and where they stand with Brian Swanson. I shouldn't say kind of. I'm far more cynical about that situation than the folks in the building at the illustrious University of Oklahoma are. Because I've seen this enough, especially with South Dallas kids over the years, Grayson, that I just kind of have already mentally conceded him to Texas. Oklahoma has made no such concession. And whether my perspective on the matter is more accurate than theirs, I can't say. Time will tell, but it is kind of a new day at Oklahoma, and this is worth noting that past trends may not hold when we're talking about a completely revamped structure, a completely revamped process, and quite frankly, Grayson, a front office that has worked with greater efficiency and effectiveness than any past recruiting operation at the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and they're going to need it because that South Dallas area down to DeSoto and Duncanville and whatnot is a Texas-influenced area. That's an area where a lot of kids will go to the University of Texas. So you're going to need a changing of the guard in the way that you operate if you're going to go get some of the better players from that area, and that will take a Jim Nagy-type operation to do that. So if there's any operation that Oklahoma could have come up with that could reverse that trend, it would be the current one right now. But I'm with you from what I've heard, not just from you, but from reporting with SMU, who's in on Brian Swanson as well. It seems like everybody is in agreement in the recruiting industry that this is a Texas lead and should be treated as such until otherwise noted.
Yeah. And, I mean, we've seen things, even just in the first year since Nagy took office at Oklahoma, we've seen the program do stuff that they haven't historically done, i.e. flip a top 100 kid from Texas A&M 2 weeks before signing day. They did that with Jonathan Hatton. Get multiple prospects from out west committed. That was a region that had been untapped for quite a while at Oklahoma, at least to the extent that Oklahoma has tapped it in the 2027 cycle. And so, geographically, they've extended their reach. They've extended their scope of influence on the trail. They've been able to fight high-profile battles and win them. Can we acknowledge, even though it felt like they always had the inside track for Jake Krell over the course of his recruitment, especially when it came down to OU and Texas for a borderline 5-star edge from IMG Academy, that kind of felt for so many reasons like the recruitment that you build yourself up for the last few years, only to get let down at the last second, and that didn't happen for Oklahoma. They sealed the deal with Krell, and that's probably a guy that's going to play quite a bit as a true freshman in 2026. So if they can get back into South Dallas and land a guy like Brian Swanson from South Oak Cliff, especially when it seems, and has seemed for quite some time, as though the Longhorns have the inside track, just yet another statement, another feather in the cap for this staff at Oklahoma. Whether or not it is Swanson, though, I do anticipate that Oklahoma is going to add a third true tackle in the 27 class. They have Luke Wilson. They have Cooper Hackett. What have we talked about time and again already this spring as the major concern for Oklahoma when it comes to depth? It's offensive tackle. And so, Imarian Harris is graduating at year's end. You have Michael Fasusi. You have Deacon Schmidt. You have the Eastern Kentucky transfer Fred Hinton. That's about it. And so Oklahoma needs to recoup depth at offensive tackle. That will be an objective that is accomplished both via the portal and via the recruiting trail. But it is to Oklahoma's benefit to take 3 tackles in the 27 class. And that's what they would like. That's what they're gunning for. A 918 listener asked, I was wondering about what it looks like to get to 10-plus wins again this year. Since we expect the offense to be better, does that flip the script from last year? And this leads nicely into a detail that just occurred to me this morning, Grayson. We haven't brought it up on the show yet, but it is worth mentioning, and I think it just kind of speaks to what the formula looks like at Oklahoma for winning football games under Brent Venables. As long as Brent Venables is the head coach, this is going to be a defense-first program. I think we can say that with relative certainty. But you remember how we talked last year about how something like 8 or 9 of Oklahoma's 11 starters on defense were guys that had been procured out of the high school ranks as opposed to via the transfer portal?
Yes.
Consider for a moment that if Owen Heineke regains his eligibility for 2026 and he comes back and reprises his role as a starter at that position alongside Kip Lewis, thereby shuffling Cole Sullivan out of the starting 11 and into a third guy, a rotational role at that linebacker spot, it is and will be the case that all 11 starters on the defensive side of the ball for Oklahoma are homegrown, guys that were signed and developed out of high school. And that is radically different on the other side of the ball right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Oklahoma's working to change that, obviously. But when you run down all of the projected starters on the offensive side versus all of the projected starters on the defensive side, on defense, all 11 guys are guys that Oklahoma signed out of high school. You flip over to the offensive side, Don Mateer was a transfer. His 3 starting receivers are going to be former transfer pickups. His starting tight end is going to be a transfer. His starting right tackle and center, those guys are transfers. Over half of Oklahoma's starters, in all likelihood, in week 1 on the offensive side of the ball, are going to be portal pickups. On defense, though, I think this is really the first year, and this is actually the first year where we can say that there is no longer any Lincoln Riley leftovers on this roster. The last one, Major Melson, a walk-on wide receiver, graduated this offseason and has moved into a role as a scouting assistant with the team. So all of the guys on this roster are BV's guys, but on defense, it is especially true that these are all BV's guys. That also speaks, though, to excellent evaluation and excellent development by every member of the Oklahoma defensive staff.
And but also, that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody because Brent is the guy who's the head man at the operation, and he's got an eye for defense. He's had a very cunning eye for defense for the better part of the last 2.5 decades. So to me, that doesn't come as a surprise, but it's why you've got to get other people that can completely mask your weaknesses. Right? Like Brent has an eye for defense. I think it's reasonable to say, because we saw it enough pre-Jim Nagy and the rest of the front office, that he may not have the greatest eye for offense. And that's okay. That's not to cast anything negative on him as a coach, but that's why you've got to bring other guys in who can, negate that is your blind spot to some degree. So I think they're going to try to change it. I think they will successfully change that to a degree. But I will always think with this iteration of Oklahoma that you're going to see a lot more year-over-year continuity on defense, and you'll see a little bit more supplementation of the offense through the transfer portal. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at this text from a 405 listener who said, well, actually, LOL, Owen Heineke did transfer in. I suppose in technicality that is true. That is true. He did transfer in from Ohio State, even though he never played football there.
Bruh, really?
What?
I'm talking about to the texter.
Oh, yeah. At least he's a tongue-in-cheek, well-actually guy.
That's
as opposed
funny.
to a sincere, well-actually guy who's like, you guys are morons. Owen Heineke's a transfer. General Booty's lieutenant says, did you guys see Toozy walked on at LSU instead of Syracuse?
Do you know who Toozy is?
Vaguely, yes.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
I became familiar with him after it was announced last fall that he was committing to Syracuse to play wide receiver.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was before then.
Okay.
But the whole Syracuse thing, that enabled me to become familiar with Toozy.
You ever listen to any of his music?
I can't say that I have, no.
That's okay. Yeah, he did walk on it. He's on LSU's roster.
Yeah. And he's wearing number 89.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you, like, watching some of the highlights they posted of him, I'm like, this guy's not a scrub. Like, I don't know if he's going to play for LSU, but he's not a scrub.
What you don't want to happen is you don't want to be the team that gets caught for a touchdown by Toozy.
No, and you also, like, LSU really has to win in 2026, because if they don't, like if they go 6-6, the jokes that are going to be made at Lane Kiffin's expense, specifically the jokes about being so unserious a program that you let a rapper come play wide receiver, it's not going to be fun. And you know, when you're the head ball coach at LSU, those folks are a little bit different. And they're going to let you hear about it. And there's not a lot of patience if you're not winning football games.
Did you, speaking of rappers, did you see Gucci Mane was kidnapped by Pooh Shiesty?
I have no idea who either of those people are.
That was the reaction that I thought I was going to get, which is why I asked the question.
Oh, hang on. So one rapper was kidnapped by another rapper.
Here's the headline from WFAA in Dallas. Rapper Gucci Mane was robbed and kidnapped by rappers Pooh Shiesty and Big 30 in Dallas, according to the DOJ. Officials described the ordeal as a, quote, armed takeover at a music studio. Pooh Shiesty and his dad, I guess, are now charged in a federal kidnapping case.
So, so you kidnap somebody.
They robbed and kidnapped Gucci Mane.
Yeah, okay, but like you kidnap somebody, generally you like go and hide that person away, right? Confine them, hold them captive.
Yeah, yeah.
How did this guy get free?
I don't know.
They just like temporarily kidnap him?
Isn't that just called catch and release?
I guess.
I don't know what I don't know if Gucci Mane is free or not. I did not click on the headline. I just know it's from the official WFAA account. I don't know if Gucci Mane is still being held or not.
Yeah, 405 listener says Grayson just made up a bunch of words. Gator said he's speaking in tongues now.
I promise you these are real people.
Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty. Yep. Now I got to get familiar with this whole saga.
I'll send you a song.
Rappers kidnapping other rappers. The rap universe can be a wild universe, man.
I'll send you a song by Pooh Shiesty to listen to.
Okay, you do that. 405-651-3439, excuse me. In the meantime, on the First Liberty Bank text line, hit us up with any questions, thoughts, things you're curious about, things you'd like us to discuss over the course of the final segment of the show, which is coming up next here on Locked In. Keep it here on the Ref. The Home of Sooner fans will be right back.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510.
When the thunder rolls in this spring,
Riverwind is where you want to be.
Enjoy classic table games like blackjack and roulette.
Or your choice of nearly 3,000 of your favorite electronic games.
We'll bring the best food, drinks, and service right to your seat.
We're giving away $80,000 in Rain or Shine Riches every Friday in April.
So play with your wild card all month long, and you could win big.
Only at Riverwind Casino.
Hey, it's Tyler McComas with The Rush. Catch us every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Nobody covers Sooner football like we do, and the best way to stay tuned into the home of Sooner fans, no matter where you are, is with the KREF app presented by Warren Cat. Download the app from the Apple or Google Play Store and take us with you everywhere. Just search KREF in your app store and download today. The KREF app presented by Warren Cat, whatever the job, whatever it takes.
When it comes to buying a home, you need a winning game plan. At Stride Bank, our mortgage team helps you get from kickoff to closing with competitive rates, local expertise, and personalized service. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we'll be right there on the field with you. Learn more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Stride Bank on your team since 1913 with Oklahoma roots and nationwide reach.
We're with Liam after his 4th military move, when being new is starting to get old. We're with Tara during the holidays, when she misses home the most. We're with all service members and their families who need connection, comfort, and a home away from home. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Children who've experienced abuse or neglect face a frightening, profound unknown. Courtrooms, foster care, new schools. No child should face these alone. Trained and supported court-appointed special advocates or CASA volunteers advocate in court on behalf of these children. They stay with each child until the case is closed and the child is in a safe, permanent home. Volunteers make a life-changing difference, but more children need our help. Lend your voice and change a child's story today. Learn how you can help right here in your community. Visit southcentralcasa.org.
Needing some electrical upgrades around your house? Don't do it yourself. Instead, trust the experts at Wade Electric. Wade Electric has been family-owned and operated for over 50 years and is committed to the highest level of service and safety. Whether it's a remodel or new construction, our qualified installers can help. Service changes, LED lights, security or ambiance lighting, electric car chargers, or backup generators, we do it all. Leave it to the experts at Wade Electric. Call 405-329-1940 to speak with one of our trusted professionals today.
My name is DeMar Hamlin. I play for the Buffalo Bills, and I play safety. CPR saved my life. I've teamed up with the American Heart Association as a national ambassador to help create a nation of lifesavers, turning bystanders into lifesavers through CPR education and access to AEDs. Nearly 3 out of 4 cardiac arrests that don't happen in hospitals happen in homes. Join me to ensure everyone has the chance to live longer, healthier lives. Visit heart.org/nation.
Entrepreneurs in Moore, Norman, and South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. Moore Norman Technology Center's workforce and economic development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, Moore Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about Moore Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
Final segment of Locked In here on the Ref. Oklahoma Sooner fans, Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton with you. The text line is wild right now. First Liberty Bank text line 405-651-3439. Gator said, old school rappers did drive-bys. New school out here playing freeze tag. Greg from Lawton said, back in my day of the NWA, they just killed each other. Cuts down on transportation costs.
Good Lord.
Rap beefs have evolved. Rap beefs have evolved. Nate Dogg says poo shiesty is what people do after having Taco Bell. That's not
incorrect.
It's a very interesting rap name, to be sure. Poo shiesty.
Look him up. Look him up and just see what he looks like. I just want you to see what he looks like.
Okay.
Just Google him right fast.
Googling this man as we speak.
Pastor Andy from BA. Pastor Andy from BA said, against my better judgment, I looked up Pooh Shiesty. No, sir.
I mean, he's got a tattoo above one of his eyebrows.
This is true.
I mean, other than that, there's nothing like outlandishly odd about this guy.
Yeah, no, he's not Lil Uzi Vert.
Yeah, no, but his name is Pooh Shiesty.
Yeah.
Shifting back to business here. It's probably not going to surprise anybody, but it did happen the other day. The national buzz for Oklahoma in the recruitment of 4-star safety target Bodie Sparrow continues to heat up. Most recently, it was Greg Biggins of Rivals that threw in a prediction for Sparrow to Oklahoma. So the Sooners continue to trend well there. You just throw that on the pile of recruitments that Oklahoma hasn't officially wrapped up yet, but looking good to do so. And on that note, man, there's been a phenomenon in recent years, and this is another thing that I think is poised to go away or at the very least diminish now that the front office has showed up and started doing the type of efficient work that they've done over the last year on the trail for Oklahoma. But the theme tends to be you see expert predictions in favor of Oklahoma for a given player. So many fans, their reaction to that will be, well, I just hope it holds. Gosh, hope the kid actually commits. Whereas if a kid that Oklahoma's in the mix for, in the running for, receives expert predictions in favor of another school, everybody's kind of like, he gone. I guess we ain't getting him. He's going to wherever. For Cooper Hackett, obviously, it was Texas Tech. Guess he's a Red Raider. They bought him. We must just suck.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason I bring that up is because something similar happened about 6 weeks ago, perhaps. Maybe it was closer to 2 months. But in the last couple of months, we saw something similar unfold with Case Alexander right down the road in Washington, Oklahoma. And, of course, he's got an older brother that signed with Iowa State out of high school and went with Matt Campbell and that staff when they made the transition to Penn State. So Cooper Alexander is a Penn State Nittany Lion, and Case Alexander took a visit to Penn State in January, I do believe, and the Nittany Lions picked up a ton of steam in the Alexander recruitment. And there were a few national experts that tossed in predictions favoring Penn State for Case Alexander. I am simply here to say this and this alone, Grayson. I'm not trying to convince you of anything, not trying to convince you that Case Alexander winds up in Oklahoma's class. But the rumors of Oklahoma's demise in that whole process are greatly exaggerated because he was in town for Future Freaks, and he's going to be back in town for an official visit. And it is highly unlikely that a commitment happens before OV season. So Oklahoma's going to get their shot at Case Alexander, which is actually more than they ever had with Cooper Alexander. Cooper Alexander never OV'd to Oklahoma. He had the offer, had the opportunity to OV. Only 2 OVs he took were Iowa State and Stanford before he committed to the Cyclones. And so Case Alexander's going to give the Sooners a shot. Going to give the hometown program a shot. And I would think one thing that works substantially in Oklahoma's favor with this whole process, Grayson, is that there's a bunch of homegrown talent in this 2027 class. Of the 10 top players in the state of Oklahoma, according to Rivals, only 3 of them are committed anywhere, and all 3 are committed to Oklahoma. Cooper Hackett, Caden Penny, Graydon Howell.
And I'll tell you this, too. We talked about this with brothers, I believe on Monday, when we talked about Matthew and Samuel Nelson
Yes.
out of the state of Arkansas, is that it's not always a guarantee that one brother wants to follow the other. Like, that's not always a guarantee because you sometimes don't want to be in an environment where you're Cooper's little brother. Oh, you're Matthew's little brother, right? Like, sometimes you want to just completely forge your own trail independent from your older sibling. Now, some siblings are a little bit different. Some are exactly what I just alluded to. So I think that could be something that giveth and taketh away for Oklahoma. In the case, they may not get Sam Nelson, but they could get Case Alexander because maybe he's not all that enthralled about the possibility of, hey, let me just go follow my brother somewhere. So at least Oklahoma's going to get its shot. That's the main thing here. But I do think even though we do talk about the familial connections and whatnot, and that's, good to do, I do think we need to start taking that at least a little bit with a grain of salt because it's not guaranteed that they always want to follow older brother.
Not at all. Hey, let me ask the question for a second. What if Oklahoma doesn't get Samuel Nelson? On that note, have you had the opportunity yet to watch the tape on Oklahoma's newest edge offer in the 2027 cycle?
No, I have not.
He hails from the state of Utah. I'm going to give this name a shot. I can't promise you it's correct. Haven't been able to verify that yet. Uhila Wolfgram from the state of Utah. 6'3", 245 pounds. He certainly, if he does wind up in Oklahoma's class, he will certifiably have the widest neck of any of Oklahoma's signees. You want to talk about the neck of a bodybuilder.
How do you spell this?
This dude's had it. Uhila, Uhila, Wolfgram, Wolfgramm. He just picked up an Oklahoma offer, I believe, on Tuesday evening. So he's held it for 48 hours or so.
That is a neck. I will say that.
That is a neck, man.
That is a neck.
That is a neck. And it's his first SEC offer, the offer from Oklahoma. Other schools on his offer sheet include Nebraska, The in-state schools, BYU and Utah, whom we talk about a lot with programs from the Beehive State for obvious reasons. Arizona State, North Carolina. He's got a Michigan offer. So some big-time players, no question, in this race. Oklahoma's a little bit late to the table. But, hey, man, you know who the offer came from? You know who officially extended the offer to Uhila Wolfgram?
Who was that?
Stacy Ford, the West Coast ace. And so, hey, man, I get it. You're playing from behind here. A bunch of other schools have a leg up in the relationship department, have been recruiting him for longer. Even so, man, even so, I think this is one to watch. Can Oklahoma get onto his busy OV slate? That's the real question.
Haven't gotten a chance to watch the film just yet. This dude is massive.
Yes, big old boy.
He is huge.
6'3", 250 pounds.
And he looks like he's a solid 265. And when I say a solid 265, I mean a trimmed 265.
He is muscled the heck up, brother. He is muscled up.
Like, that's an impressive
and the
frame.
Tape, yeah, and the tape is similarly impressive. Like, what would you hope to see from a kid who looks like that on tape? What's the one quality you would hope to see?
I don't know, some kind of Myles Garrett type domination or something like that. I tell you what, though, what would send it over the top, and I'm turning on the tape now, so we're going to react to this live, but I would like to see if this dude has some crazy quickness or speed, that would make me think, okay, given his size.
I like it, man. He's got a little bit of twitch, and he is violent, man. He is a violent dude. So if this is kind of the insurance policy for the whole Sam Nelson situation, and obviously Nelson isn't the only edge that Oklahoma's pursuing. You got Miles Smith from the state of Michigan that they're going after. They're actually it's a pretty diverse board at edge in the 27 cycle. Compared to other positions where Oklahoma has kind of just honed in on one guy or a couple of guys. They got a few different targets that they're keeping tabs on at edge, but I like this Uhila Wolfgram kid, man.
Yeah, I'm turning on the tape now, and violence is a very good way to put it. He's really good with his hands, too.
Yes.
Like there's some technical stuff here that you really like.
We'll see what happens with Sam Nelson, man. Obviously, like that's a kid that's had the green light for a while now to commit to Oklahoma if he wants to jump. But this also kind of makes me wonder if Oklahoma might be open to taking 3 edges. I need to run that down and get some clarity on that because the plan for the longest time has only been to take 2. And Crew Jones occupies one of those slots for now. Really good player, man. I know Crew Jones probably doesn't get talked about as much as some of the other commits in this class. Because he's been committed for so long and he's not like a 5-star dude as the National Recruiting Services see it. But Crew Jones is going to be a menace at edge for Oklahoma. And, hey, what if Oklahoma signed not 1 but 2 edge rushers out of the state of Utah? At that point, assuming Oklahoma gets Bodie Sparrow as well, what does that become? Like 5 Utahns, 6 on the roster at once?
Yeah, that's impressive.
West Coast flair for Oklahoma.
Is Utah considered West Coast?
Okay. Pacific time zone. Well, I get maybe Utah's mountain time zone. Now that I think about it, yeah. What would you call that region? The Great West. I don't know, but you get the picture. The western half of the United States hasn't been terribly well represented on Oklahoma's roster in years past. That may be changing. That may be changing specifically with the states of California and Utah, which are already represented well in Oklahoma's 2027 cycle. So we will keep an eye on the Uhila Wolfgram recruitment moving forward. 6'3", 250, a ton of fun on tape as an edge talent for Oklahoma. And with that, folks, we're going to wind it down and call it a day here on Locked In. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We do this for an hour every single weekday afternoon. Always happy to spend it with you. 2 o'clock, always the same time, always the same place, talking all of the top storylines in Oklahoma football and recruiting. We're going to do it all again tomorrow on Friday as we take you into Easter weekend. However, for the next 3 hours here on the Wrap, Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman are going to take you the rest of the workday. The Rush is coming up next. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. Thank you to First Liberty Bank for sponsoring our text line. Thank you to Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno for sponsoring the show. And until tomorrow, folks, take it easy. We'll talk again soon.